Spanish power grows. Charles V inherits two crowns. He is the grandson of Isabel and Ferdinand, and he became the king in 1516 and is the ruler of Spanish colonies in America. In 1519, he became the sprawling of Habsburg Empire. The Muslim Ottoman challenges Spanish power in the Mediterranean, so he was tired of ruling Habsburg Empire, so he decided to give his titles and enter a monastery in 1556. He gave Spain, the Netherlands, some southern Italian states, and Spain overseas empire to Philip, which is later known as Philip II. Philip II solidifies power. 42 years of ruling, he expanded Spanish influence, strengthened the Catholic Church, and made his power absolute. Spain is now the lead of Europe. He believed that his authority to rule is from God and thinks that he is the guardian of the Catholic Church, and his job is to defend the Catholic Reformation and turn back the Protestants in Europe. In 1580s, Philip saw that Queen Elizabeth I of England is on the Protestant side. She encouraged the people to destroy places that's related to Spanish Empire. To stop the English attacks, Philip prepared the Armada to carry Spanish invasion force to England. Unfortunately, the Armada was attacked by the English ships. From that event, that is the beginning of the end of Spanish power, mostly due to economic problems. Spain's Golden Age. Many new things are introduced, such as paintings, literature, and plays.
France under Louis XIV. Henry IV restores order. In the beginning, France was torn apart with religious feuds. Henry converted to Catholicism and issued the Edict of Nantes for the Protestants to solve this problem. Later, after he died, Louis, his son, inherited the throne and appointed Cardinal Richelieu as his chief minister, who strengthened the central government. An absolute monarch rises. Soon after Louis ruled, disorder again swept through France. The poor protested about the rich's powers, but Louis believed in his divine right to rule, so instead of handling the problem directly, he strengthened his loyal power and built France's finances through clearing new lands for farming and encouraged mining and luxury trades. Versailles, symbol of royal power. This elegant palace was created for nobles to stay and enjoy themselves. But behind that, Louis just wanted the full support of nobles instead of making powerful enemies. A strong state declines. Louis ruled for 72 years, much longer than other monarchs, but during this time, he made some bad decisions. While trying to expand France's borders, the wars cost too much, and they lost because the European countries wanted to balance the power that each of them had, so they allied up.
The Tudors worked with Parliament. From 1485 to 1603, England was ruled by Tudor monarchs. Although the Tudors believed in divine right, they recognized the values of having good relations with the Parliament. Henry VIII, the monarch of England at the time, broke with the Roman Catholic Church, and he turned to the Parliament to legalize his actions. The Parliament approved the Act of Supremacy and made him the head of the Church of England. Henry also needed money, so he decided to consult the Parliament frequently. He needed money to fight overseas war, and most of the members of the Parliament decided to vote for Henry. A century of revolution begins. After Henry VIII, Elizabeth I inherited the throne. Elizabeth died childless in 1603, and her relative, James Stuart, had inherited the throne. Unfortunately, though, James I always had clashes with the Parliament over money and foreign policies. After that, Charles I inherited the throne. Charles behaved like an absolute monarch, and he needed money, so that forced Charles to summon the Parliament. The Parliament insists that Charles sign the Petition of Right. This is a document that prohibits the king from raising taxes without a parliament's consent or from jailing anyone without legal justification. Charles signed the parliament, but then he ignored it. After that, the parliament became known as the Long Parliament because it lasted on and off from 1640 to 1657, and it triggered the greatest political revolution in England's history. Fighting a civil war. A civil war that followed lasted from 1642 to 1651. There was a clash between two groups of people: the Cavaliers, the supporters of Charles I, and the Roundheads, the supporters of a new leader, Oliver Cromwell. The Roundheads had beat the Cavaliers in many different battles, and so in the end, the Parliament took over. Finally, though, in 1649, Charles I was executed by the Parliament. Cromwell and the Commonwealth. After the execution of Charles I, Oliver Cromwell was crowned the king. He also established the Commonwealth government. Unfortunately, though, this new government faced many challenges. Supporters of Charles II was really mad at him because they believed that Charles II should be crowned the king instead of Oliver Cromwell. There was also another group called the Levellers, who thought that poor men should have as much say in the government as the gentry, lawyers, and other leading citizens. In addition, female levellers asserted their right to petition Parliament. Under the Commonwealth government, Puritans also were in control. Puritans made sure that everyone had to follow their ways of living. Finally, though, in 1658 Oliver Cromwell died, and Charles II was invited to come back to England. From Restoration to Glorious Revolution. In May 1660, the people of England welcomed Charles II back to London. In 1685, James II, Charles' brother, inherited the throne. Unfortunately, though, many English Protestants feared that James would restore the Roman Catholic Church. With that, the Parliament decided to invite James's Protestant daughter, Mary, and her Dutch Protestant husband, William III of Orange, to become rulers of England. James too was forced to flee England, and William and Mary had been the ruler of England. They had to accept the English Bill of Rights, though. The Bill of Rights ensured the superiority of the Parliament over the monarchy. It required the monarch to summon Parliament regularly and gave the House of Commons the powers of purse over or control over spending. The Glorious Revolution also created a limited monarchy, a type of government which controls the amount of power that the monarch has. Constitutional government evolves. In the century following the Glorious Revolution, three new political institutions arose in Britain: political parties, the cabinet, and the office of prime minister. The appearances of these institutions were part of the evolution of Britain's constitutional government, that is, a government whose power is defined by and limited by law. First, the political parties emerged. In the late 1600s, political parties emerged in England. There were two political parties, the Tories and the Whigs. Tories were generally aristocrats who sought to preserve older traditions. The Whigs backed the politics of the Glorious Revolution. They were more likely to reflect urban business interests, support religious toleration, and favor Parliament over the Crown. After the political parties, the cabinet system emerged, a new feature of a government. This government set a handful of parliamentary advisors to set policy. Over time, the head of the cabinet came to be known as the Prime Minister, and that is the system that we use today. A society still ruled by the few. After the introduction of the Prime Minister system, Britain's government was still far from democratic, though. It was actually obligatory, a government in which the ruling power belongs to a few people. Highest nobles had seats in the House of Lords. Other wealthy landowners and rich business leaders in the city controlled the election of to the House of Commons. The right to vote was limited to a relatively few male property owners. Most people didn't have the right to vote.
Rise of Austria and Prussia. The 30 Years' War ravages Europe. A series of wars between Catholic and Protestants which caused about a third of the German people's lives. Habsburg Austria changes its focus. Habsburg looked to expand for more power after being weakened by the war. They found that uniting countries was difficult. And during this time, a woman emperor takes the throne and unites the countries together through what some might say charm. Hohenzollern Prussia. Prussia became a Protestant European country. Frederick Williams, who now ruled, gained the loyalty of Prussian nobles and became a harsh military leader and used his army well. The rivalry of great powers. During the 30 Years' War, many European countries formed strong alliances and waged war with each other to gain more power.
Absolute monarchy in Russia. Peter the Great modernizes Russia. In 1682, Peter is the king when he was 10 years old. He went to the European countries, impressed with the things, so he brought the culture back and applied them in Russia. Peter imported Western technologies. Peter expands Russia's borders. Peter's goal is to expand Russia's border. And because the Arctic Ocean freezes, Russia cannot trade with the Westerns, so Peter is determined to get the warm water port at the Black Sea. But he has to push through the Empire of Ottoman. Peter is unable to defeat the empire and didn't gain the warm water port. In 1700s, Peter is trying to dominate the Baltic region, so he have a war with Sweden. He defeated Sweden and won the territory along the Baltic seas. Then he expanded the empire to the east. Catherine the Great follows Peter's lead. A German princess married the heir of Russian throne at the age of 15 and became the monarch from the support of the military. She had the same goal as Peter the Great, which is to westernize Russia and to expand the borders. She also set up the laws, reorganized provincial government, and organized education for boys and girls. Since she also wants to expand the borders, there is a Russo-Turkish war against the Ottoman. She defeated them, gained the warm water port on the Black Sea in 1774, and later took steps to take the territory from Poland. Looking ahead. New ideas are always